The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our host are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve, and Katelyn Murray is a financial advisor through Raymond James Financial Services and Director of Advisory Services here at Serving Those Who Serve.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fed15 podcast presented by Serving Those Who Serve. As you know, each week we discuss the latest news and info the feds need to know in 15 minutes-ish or less. So whether you're a seasoned federal employee or just starting out in your career, Fed15, we got you covered. So grab your coffee, energy drink, green juice, kick back, and we'll tell you what you need to know, but you just might have missed. We're your host. I'm Dan Sipe, and I am joined by the incredible and inimitable Katelyn.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Fed 15. As the weather is heating up, so are our podcast topics. Yeah, I know. It feels like, I'm conflicted about this winter because we really didn't get a ton of weather, but it just felt very long and gray and dead. Like we didn't get the magic of the snow, I feel like. We just got kind of gray and dry and chilly.
Muddy.
Just
raw, muddy, yuck.
For sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to the weather change, definitely enjoying some of the trees starting to bloom, the early bloomers coming through.
Sure.
And, soon it'll be time for spring sports ball. I know you're excited about that, Dan.
Well, yes, but I'm a little surprised that you are mentioning this sports ball of which you speak.
That's true. So fun fact about me, I'm not a huge sports person. If you listen to the podcast historically, my brother got all of the sports genes, but I do have an affinity for two sports, hockey and baseball.
Really?
Yes, I love hockey. I love the experience of a hockey game. It's very communal. I don't know. It's just very interesting. But I also love warm weather and baseball, and importantly, baseball concessions. So we're kind of, gearing up for baseball season to start. I'm stalking my local kind of sports teams for their schedules. And I thought I would share with you, we have some very unique sports teams. I live in Southern Virginia, and we have some very unique sports teams here. So there's the tried and true Otterbots. And for our visual kind of watchers on YouTube, I will show actually a picture of the logo here. So the Otterbots.
That is indeed an Otterbot.
Right? It's literally what you would imagine, right? It is a robotic otter. And so this sports team has been around for quite a while. It's kind of quirky, interesting. People had lots of different ideas about it when it was first introduced, but it's kind of become a staple of,
I think I'm seeing laser eyes there.
Spring. Oh yeah. No, it's a vicious creature. There's also
Absolutely.
Talons. Anyway, so recently,
well, giant river otters are terrifying.
It's true.
Okay. We always think about little cute ones. Those giant ones, don't want to meet them. Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
Up. Yeah, no, for sure. So this is kind of the fearsome visage of our existing semi-pro team,
Otterbots.
Part of the Appalachian League. And this year we actually have a new addition. So we have whatever, again, not a sports ball aficionado, but whatever the team is that would be under the semi-pro team that kind of plays when they're away. They just released a new team, and it's kind of in the same vein. If you know the Savannah Bananas, it's in the same vein as that.
Okay.
But I would love to present to you the Danville Dairy Daddies and their mascot.
Dairy Daddies.
Yes, this suave fellow here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that cow needs to be tested.
Yeah, he's quite a guy. And then what's interesting about this, though, is, Dan and I are both really interested in marketing. It's kind of an interest of ours, and we kind of read and study up on it. And what is so fascinating about this is that this, small town, not even semi-pro team has sold merch in all 50 states. And they did it within 3 days of launching, leveraging kind of the power of the internet and really polished graphics.
Must have used the interweb for that.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But there's all kinds of, you can get a cow hat. I'm looking at that one myself. It's kind of cute. So yeah, it should be a really interesting time at the ball field this summer. I'll keep everybody updated on that.
Yeah. So, wow. Jacked cow. So, pretty interesting marketing approach there. Really kind of want to know how they got that marketing reach. We'll have to,
right.
We'll have to
like how to, oh yeah. Yeah. No, very interesting. No, that cow definitely has not been skipping, the gym.
Yes.
So
although I'm not so sure about leg day, Katelyn. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on leg day because those quads weren't looking too developed there. So I could certainly talk about grotesquely overdeveloped bovines all day, but we probably have some actual topics here.
We do.
I know I'm going to be talking about the upcoming projections for COLAs. And folks, just to be clear, COLA is for pensions. Pay raises are for when you're working. And Katelyn, what are you leading off with?
Yeah, so I want to take a moment to talk about a topic that's maybe a little less attractive than the overly developed bovines, and that is TSP loans. So we put out a really great article this week about TSP loans, kind of a bit critical. I know that sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but we kind of examined the top reasons that you really should try to avoid TSP loans at all costs. They really are a kind of, break in case of emergency, worst case scenario option for you. It's not something you should consider for just a short term or temporary, not need-based situation. So couple things to know with TSP, your contributions, as long as you're contributing to the pre-tax portion of your TSP, are pre-tax. Now, when you take a TSP loan out, you pay that loan back with after-tax dollars. So if you're in, around, let's say you're in a blended tax rate of around 20%, you're going to pay $1,250 to pay back in after-tax dollars, maybe $1,000 of pre-tax money. And that's before we factor in the interest on your TSP loan, because those loans do, in fact, come with interest. Now, the other thing to be aware of is when you do pay your loan back with after-tax dollars, it goes into a pool of money that's considered pre-tax. So let's say, you take a TSP loan out, you pay it back. 15 years later, you retire. It's time to start pulling some of those acorns out, right? And spending them for retirement. Now you're going to be taxed on those funds when you pull them out dollar for dollar at your tax rate in retirement. So you're effectively being taxed a second time when making those qualified withdrawals in retirement. So not only are we taking a TSP loan of pre-tax dollars and having to pay it back with after-tax dollars, we are then effectively being double taxed when we're pulling the funds out of TSP in retirement to spend them. Now, the other thing I'll touch on is defaulting on TSP loans. There is a grace period for missing some loan payments, but after that grace period, the loan is due in full immediately. And your outstanding loan balance is considered income by the IRS. If you're under 59.5, you'll have a 10% penalty applied as well. So the other thing I'll mention here under the kind of default section is if you do decide to leave your federal job, you've got 60 days to pay the loan back in full. If you don't pay it in time, it does go into default. So you definitely, I would avoid taking TSP loans if you can avoid it at all. If you do take one, you definitely don't want to default on it because you don't want that outstanding loan balance to be considered income. It could kick you up into a higher tax bracket. And again, if you're under 59.5, you get hit with that 10% early withdrawal penalty. And then lastly, here at Serving Those Who Serve, we're financial planners, but we're also investment managers. And so I would be remiss to not mention loss of potential gains as a
We
reason
hate
that
that.
you should try, right? That
We
you
don't
should
like
try
that.
to avoid those TSP loans. If money isn't in your TSP, it can't be invested in the market, and it's going to miss out on potential growth that you could get through interest, dividends, capital gains, all of that. So really, if you can avoid it, you want to try to avoid those TSP loans. Ways that you can do that: planning in advance as much as possible. We recommend typically that folks have a starting point of about 6 months worth of non-discretionary spending as an emergency fund. And you can adjust that from there depending on your unique situation and your risk tolerance. You may feel more comfortable keeping a year's worth of non-discretionary spending and cash on hand. And as long as you're kind of keeping that in a high yield savings account, there's really no issue there. But planning in advance is kind of the number one thing you can do to avoid those TSP loans.
Absolutely. It's something that's part of the landscape, but I think all too many times it is not presented to feds as, yes, you can do this. However, here are the potential ripple effects for doing that. So, here it is, folks. If you have an advisor, discuss with your advisor. If you don't have an advisor, hit us up at STWServe.com. We'll help you any way we can on that. And we have tons of material and content on this. We write about it. Ed writes about it. We have this podcast that we're covering it. So it's definitely there to help you. We want to help you make the best decisions because, as I say on our sister podcast, it's your Fed life. We want you to make it a great one because you deserve it. So let's talk about a cheerier thought for our retirees or soon to be retirees. And that would be initial estimates for a 2025 COLA. Quick flyover for our folks out there. 3 different ways that the COLA could impact feds. For CSRS, obviously it would be the CSRS pension. For FERS, it would impact their pension. And for FERS people who are collecting Social Security, or even some of the CSRS folks who may be getting a little bit of Social Security after the WEP, it would impact them as well. So COLA is calculated by taking the inflation as measured by the CPIW, because there are multiple forms of CPI, for the months of July, August, and September. And then the average of those 3 numbers determine the following year's COLA for Social Security, FERS, and CSRS. So right now, we're looking at the inflation data from January and February, and the Senior Citizens League is estimating that the COLA for 2025 could be around 2.4%. We kind of, it's a weird situation, folks. We kind of want to hope Senior Citizens League is right because we don't want inflation to double back on us.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't want to see the bacon prices jumping and the egg prices jumping like they did a few years ago. So it's kind of that weird situation. So the thing to keep in mind is if there's a CPI number of say 2.4, CSRS will get a full 2.4. Social Security will get a full 2.4. Now FERS, remember, you have a 3-tiered system. So from 0 to 2% CPI, you get the full CPI. From 2 to 3%, you would get 2, and above 3%, you'd be CPI minus 1. So if it's 2.4, you'd get 2. And just one thing to keep in the back of your mind, one of the reasons for that, in my estimation, is because you also have the FERS supplement. And money has to come from somewhere. So if you're retiring at 57 and you're getting, 5 years of FERS supplement, that money has to come from somewhere. So I believe there's a relationship between those two. So our actual COLA will be announced in mid-October. So this is sort of the beginning, the first countdown for it. So, and again, it's a weird seesaw. We want to get a high COLA, but we don't want to have high inflation. So that kind of brings me back to one of the things, and Katelyn, you know this, I am a big proponent of having a strong and disciplined TSP strategy, because that's really going to be your inflation hedge.
Right.
Okay. So wherever you keep it, you keep it TSP for the rest of your life, fine, but have a robust strategy for how you're going to grow it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to protect it, how you're going to use the mix of traditional and Roth. That's any discussion of cost of living adjustment and inflation for me always leads back to that. And again, we have tons of free resources for you to read up on that, watch up on that, listen up on that, learn up on that in our webinars. So by all means, take advantage of those.
Absolutely. And might I pose a question, Dan? Where are those resources located?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, because much like the Dairy Daddies, we are also located on the interweb.
We are.
So you can go to STWServe.com and you click that up and you're going to get our beautiful homepage. Shout out to our folks from Outright for designing that for us. And, a new way to learn about your benefits. And you will see the red webinar button right up in the corner. Click it and the whole menu will come up. Sign up for one, sign up for all, or head over to the blog. It's all searchable. Type in what you're looking for. You'll get the best of Benefits Ben, Jen Meyer, Ed Zerndorfer, you name it. Katelyn Murray. I'm told she's in there.
She is from time to time.
Yes. So right there on
now,
the interweb.
I know we spend a lot of time chatting up our blog and our webinars, but I also wanted to just very quickly mention a couple of new pages that we have on the website. If you're curious, if you are a Serving Those Who Serve stan, we redid our About Us section recently so that you can read a little bit more about our origin story. You can see this handsome guy here if you're watching on YouTube for the screen share. You can read about our origin story. You can read about our values and about our financial planning and investment management expertise. But you can also go to my favorite page, which is the Our Team page. And this is really showcasing all of the faces of STWS. If you're a regular podcast listener, you may be familiar with Dan and myself, but there's really a very robust team here that's really working for and advocating for our clients every single day. So I highly,
There's
highly
only one
encourage
person in those pictures got gray hair, Katelyn.
I think that maybe a couple of them are covering up some grays. Present company included on that one.
I'm the only teaser.
Definitely take a tour through the website. We've got some new resources up there, and I encourage you to learn a little bit about us if you don't already know us.
I didn't know those were up. Thank you for showing me that. That's Dairy Daddy exciting for me.
Yep, that's a surprise for you this morning. So
very nice. Thank you.
All righty, folks. Well, that is just about time for us. We'll be back next week to bring you all the latest updates that you need to make informed decisions about your career and financial well-being as a Fed.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spotify, so you never miss an episode. And please remember to share it with your friends, colleagues, even throw in an enemy or two. They will thank you.
Absolutely. We shouted it out a little bit earlier, but if you've got time, check out STWServe.com. You can check our blog out there and also sign up for the weekly Serving, which is our weekly email list that we basically send out all of the trending articles and new topics on the website for you.
And those webinars that we mentioned on our website, I've got a couple of good ones coming up on April 17th from 10:30 till 2:30. It is our ever popular FEHB, Medicare, and TRICARE webinar. Tons and tons of people are coming through that, and feedback we're getting is fantastic. So be sure to hit us up there. And one that we're especially proud of, because one of the things you'll hear me say if you've listened to our podcast, there's stuff we're doing nobody else is doing. And one of those is that we remember our friends in special provisions. Our LEOs, our traffic controllers, our federal firefighters. We want to make sure that you're getting the information because your situation's a little bit different. So on April 25th, we've got TSP for special provisions employees. So that's April 25th from 1 until 4. Super proud that we take the time and put in the effort to do this thing. So if you know any special provisions folks, or you are one, share it, join us, and look forward to having you with us.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening to the Fed15. I'm Katelyn Murray.
And I'm Dan Sipe.
And we will see you next week. Take care.